Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carla if you are new here, and I lost a whole heap of weight and I talk about it a lot here on the internet. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about my relationship with alcohol. Now, this is quite a vulnerable video for me to make. Now, I'm not saying if you're here to see, you know, like me passed out, puking, old photos and videos and stuff like that, that's not going to happen. My relationship with alcohol is a little bit different, sort of, but I want to chat through. And I think a lot of people have asked me about my relationship with alcohol over the last 2.5, 3 years. Sorry if you can hear a very annoying noise in the background, that's my cat, but you know, c'est la vie, we're going through it, we're just continuing on because I have like 15 minutes to film and I'm taking it. And if there's a cat noise in the back, there's a cat noise in the back, so bear with me, lads. Anyway, as I was saying, and so a lot of people have asked me about my relationship with alcohol over the time that I've been sharing my journey on Instagram and here on YouTube. And I think there's a correlation between my weight loss and, or maybe should I say, my weight gain and alcohol. Now, I'm not saying that alcohol caused me to gain weight. It probably didn't help. But I do know that the behavior that I had around alcohol is very similar in the behavior that I had towards food. So let's take it back. Let's revisit back into the day. Let's start from the start. I'm Irish, born and bred. And in Ireland, we obviously have a very big drinking culture here. We are known, I was listening to the radio the other day, and we are known for drinking, potatoes and fighting, apparently, which I find slightly racist, but also hilarious. I was raised in a family where we drank, all of us, my family members, we all consumed alcohol, not in a negative way, but it was just part of our day-to-day life. And in Ireland, you were not necessarily encouraged, but in some certain households you were allowed to drink pre-drinking age, and I was in one of those households. So I never had that when I got to 18, as some of my other friends did. They had this like, I have to binge drink and like drink a lot all the time. So I was allowed to drink when I was younger, but honestly I didn't really have that much of an interest in it. And I think that's down to my parents, that they didn't make it something forbidden. It was just this, they didn't make it taboo, which I think a lot of people make the mistake in doing, is making something a taboo subject, and therefore people then want it more. There was a lot of open conversations. You know, if I got drunk one night, I would tell my parents, you know, but I was always quite responsible, and I would the majority of the time be the responsible, or probably the most sober in a group if we were out drinking. And as time went on, I was, you know, working around different groups of friends and working in different locations, and my relationship with alcohol kind of grew. And it would probably, I would say it would coincide with the time where my relationship with food got a little bit more insidious. And I think that was a lot to do with my mental health. Actually, I know that was a lot to do with my mental health. If you haven't seen my whole journey, I'm going to leave a link up here, and basically it's about how I lost weight and what happened in order for me to lose weight. As I got older, the negative self-talk got worse. I had it quite badly as a teenager, but as I got to 18, 19, 20, it got worse and worse and worse. And I think it got worse and worse because of my behavior. I basically wasn't helping myself. I was in a cycle. So if you don't know, a common cause of addiction is escaping from your body and escaping from trauma. So it is numbing the feelings that you are feeling inside with a substance, alcohol, food, with a behavior, sex, gambling, etc. Shopping, all of these different things. So my negative self-talk started to get worse and worse as I got older. And I think it got worse because of my behavior, and specifically my behavior when I was drinking. I was always quite self-conscious. I was living with a lot of shame, and I built this body around me to protect me from the shame. But when I drank, my inhibitions were considerably lowered. And so when my inhibitions were lowered, I would act in a way that perhaps maybe I wouldn't have acted when I was sober. And I then would wake up with shame. So I would have situational shame and I would have trauma-based shame. And combining the two of them together, I would end up in this lovely shame cycle. So I would then use food to escape my feelings, and also probably alcohol. And alcohol. I wouldn't say probably. And alcohol to escape my feelings. So when I got to about 18, I graduated high school, secondary school, whatever you call it. And I started hanging out with different people who were a lot older than me. We were drinking a lot, and it kind of got to the point where we were drinking, you know, you go to the pub after work and you would have 3, 4, 5 pints or something like that. I drank Snakebite, I drank Bulmers with a slice of lime in it, wine, Prosecco, but my drink of choice is always and always will be Jack and Coke. That is my, like, Jack and Coke was my #1 favorite drink. Also, you know, when you are drinking, if you've ever been drunk, I'm sure the majority of people who are watching this have been drunk, and you don't act in a way that you would probably normally act. You know, you probably questionable antics and things like that. So I definitely acted in a way that I thought was okay until the next day, and then you would kind of start the cycle all over again. I used to go out and it kind of got worse and worse, and when I got to about 21, 22, it was getting bad. I was using the majority of my income on alcohol and on food. So I would go out on a night out. I used to get the worst FOMO. Like, if I wasn't out, I had just terrible FOMO. And I was never really, like, some of the groups as well that I would hang out with, I was never really in. I was always on the periphery, and I always wanted to be accepted. And I, now looking back, and I understand why I wasn't accepted, it was because I was a holy mess. I was a very traumatized child trapped in an adult's body and who was drunk. Now, when I say I was drunk, I was not to the point of like falling down or anything like that. Very rarely, very, very rarely would I get to that point. Also because I was grossly overweight, so I was able to consume a lot more than other people would have been able to. But I didn't respect myself, and you could smell that a mile off. People could. I don't want to put words into other people's mouths. I'm sure there's even people maybe watching this who are those other groups of people that I was hanging out with and were on the periphery of hoping to be accepted by. And because I had no self-worth, I was continuously talking badly to myself, like horrendously to myself, numbing out with alcohol, numbing out with food. So I would go out, I would drink a lot, I would then get a takeaway pizza, a takeaway Chinese on the way home, scoff that, wake up the next morning, feel like crap, full of shame, full of food, and then I would go to work in a job that I hated and start the cycle all over again that night. You know, through all of this, I never liked being out of control. I always felt the majority of the time, I would say 95% of the time, I was in control when I was drinking. It would lower my inhibitions, but I would act in a bit of a stupid way, like immature, just being a bit stupid. And that would kind of like, not to admonish myself as a young person now, but like, yeah, I just wasn't acting great. And you know, socializing in Ireland is practically only done through alcohol. So, you know, you were sitting around and I was consuming loads and going home then feeling sad, feeling empty, and trying to, you know, numb feelings then with more food and cycle it. And then when I got to 23, hit rock bottom, went through therapy and everything for binge eating disorder, and it still didn't get relaxed. I still drank a lot and I didn't really see any issue with drinking. I would never say I had a drink problem, to be honest with you. Would I never say I had a drink problem? I didn't need alcohol. I was able to go out and drive to, like, not while drinking, but like I would go out with friends and drive, but I was never comfortable when I did. I would know that things were a bit different. And then something changed. I met Vincent, my partner, when I was 27, and we met in June, and a lot of our dates were alcohol based. A lot of them, like, so we would go out to the pub, we go for a meal and have drinks. We would go for drinks on the weekend, that kind of thing. That's what you do in Ireland. It's a lot of it based around alcohol. And then we decided, we were like, oh, we're drinking a lot. Like, maybe we should try Sober October. So less than 6 months after we met, we tried Sober October. I was probably at that point drinking, was in a job that I hated, was in a family situation that wasn't the best for me, in a living situation, and met Vincent. I was like, okay, maybe we'll give this a go. So we did Sober October, and I never went back to drinking again to the same extent. Since that Sober October, I have probably been drunk 4 times, and that's in what, 8 years? It changed a lot for me. Giving myself that clear path, that clear time, and then going through everything that I've gone through in the last 3 years has really made me realize, okay, that was a behavior to help and to cope with socializing and not feeling comfortable socializing without alcohol, feeling shame without alcohol, the not being able to go out and have a good time. And now I've realized I don't need alcohol anymore. I don't need to drink. So realizing that alcohol was another methodology of escape for me. Other, like food was. Food helped to numb the feelings. Alcohol helped to lower the shame so I could function in a social environment. There's the difference, but the correlation between the two. So I went from, prior to that Sober October, drinking 4 to 7 nights a week, thinking it was totally fine, to going, God, I drink an awful lot, and then stop drinking, find other ways to socialize, and still it was difficult. Like, I would still go out and have a couple of drinks. And then, I started my journey, had my realization, and it just lost interest to me. I just wasn't that interested in going out and getting pissed. I hated the feeling of alcohol. I hated the feeling of being hungover. And it felt like I was poisoning my body. And through this journey, I've realized how important my body is to me and how beautiful it is, and what a wonderful vessel that I have been given in order to live and function in this life. And I don't want to poison it with alcohol. Now, I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again. On my journey down for my big weight loss, I'd say I had about 5 drinks. A couple of times I'd be like, God, I just love a glass of Prosecco. I'd love a margarita, that kind of thing. But I was drinking to enjoy the alcohol. I stopped drinking for other reasons. I stopped drinking to numb out. I stopped drinking to lower my inhibitions, to lower my shame. If I was going to have a drink, it's because I wanted to have that drink, for the taste of it, for the enjoyment of that. Like, I would love a cocktail. I got pregnant last April, so I have not had a single alcoholic drink since, I think, February 2021. And honestly, I think I did a live on Instagram then, and I had one like seltzer, like, one of those, like a White Claw or something like that. And and I haven't drank since then. Now, I went out with friends. I've been out as well. I've been out with friends 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I've vlogged it here, and I had no bother like not drinking. It was crazy. It just didn't bother me. Like, I didn't even realize I wasn't drinking. I never drank at home either. That's one thing I'll say, is I never drank at home. I was always a social drinker. So my individual practice, the thing that I like to do was away from other people, was food. That to me was my secret behavior. That was my secrecy. Alcohol was never that. The alcohol was a methodology to make me feel comfortable enough to socialize. And you would think that I was the most confident person when I was out. Anybody who knows me from before and has met me now cannot believe that I ever felt a lack of confidence, that I didn't feel like full of beans and full of like, but I was dying inside anytime I was out, and if I wasn't dying inside, I was probably drunk or drinking so that I didn't feel so bad. That's kind of my relationship with alcohol. Like, that's kind of it. I think the realization on working on your mental health in all different aspects is so important. And for me to realize that alcohol was my methodology of lowering the shame so that I could socialize, and food was my methodology of escaping the internal. So alcohol was more the external, helping me to deal with outside, whereas food was helping me to deal with what was going on inside me. I think those realizations are the key to overcoming behaviors and to overcoming what happened in my life. I'm not saying that for everybody. I do not judge people for drinking or getting drunk. I will still enjoy alcohol, you know, on a couple of times. You know, at the moment I cannot drink because of my postnatal depression medication. I also don't want to drink. I don't want to spend the money on it. I don't want to feel like crap the next day, and I don't want to have to wake up and take care of a baby while hungover and have to walk an hour a day, because that's more important to me. It's also what's become a priority to me, and my health has become my number one priority. My health is my priority above everything else. If I am not in good health, I cannot be there for my son, I cannot be there for my partner, I cannot be there to produce content online, I cannot be there as a daughter, as a sister, I cannot function, I cannot work, I cannot make money. If I am not in good health, I am useless to myself and to everybody. So my health is my number one priority, and alcohol just does not really belong for me in that area. That is just not what I need in order to, you know, I always say that the term, will this bring me closer to or further from my goal? Whereas like, I am now in excellent health. I have really good cardiovascular health. My blood results are perfect for my age. I am in really, really good health. I'm in great mental health now. I'll be weaning off my postnatal depression pills shortly. And to continue in that, that is my goal. And when I always say, like, will this bring me closer to or further from my goal? I feel like my goal has now transformed into a status of great. Like, I feel great. And will this bring me away from great? Yes, alcohol will bring me away from great. I'm not going to say I'm never going to drink again. I am most definitely going to have a margarita at some point, because my God, do I love a margarita. But I'm not going to go back and drink 7, 8, 9, 10 Jack and Cokes in a night. I'm not going to be drinking a bottle or two of wine on a night out, because I don't need to. I don't want to, and I don't need to anymore. I've healed, and I'm continuing to heal, and I'm continuing to evolve, and I just don't need it anymore. I don't need the crutch in a socializing situation, because I know who I am. That's a big difference, is I never knew who I was before. So of course I was using alcohol to escape who I thought I was, or because I was so confused about who I was and what I liked and what I wanted. I never felt comfortable in myself, whereas now I could not be more comfortable in my skin. In my loose skin, in my saggy loose skin, which I love. I am so comfortable now. Guys, I'm gonna end this video because I've been talking for nearly 25 minutes and this is gonna be a nightmare to edit. If you have liked this video, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing if you are not already. Drop me a super thanks if you like to give me a tip. Everyone is incredibly appreciated. And yeah, I will talk to you all very soon. Oh, leave me an emoji. What emoji will we do today? Let's do a sun. Let's do a sun. Oh no, let's do a leopard. Let's do a leopard. Or lips. Lips or leopard. Guys, I will love you and leave you. Thank you so much for tuning in and choosing to spend your time with me. It really means a lot to me. Bye guys. My name is Carla and I faff with my hair. Start at the very beginning. This is a lot tougher than I thought it was with me. Anyone else have their necklaces just don't sit still? Is it just me?